Young dragon, all our hope now lies with you. When you wake up, it will be a different world. But know this, you are not alone. You have allies.
Dawn of the Dragon is the reason this video series exists, and why I love Spyro. This game does not get nearly the amount of flack Eternal Night does, yet it is rarely recognized for the shining gem it truly is. I can count on a single hand the amount of games that have moved me to tears. This is one of them. The Legend of Spyro series as a whole is remembered fondly because of this one game. A magical experience from start to end. A truly great and glorious game to end one of gaming's finest stories. And I already know that some nostalgia accusations are about to be thrown at me. However, I have no nostalgia for this game. I never played Dawn of the Dragon as a kid. My first playthrough was only a few months ago at the time I'm making this script, and since then I've already replayed it 3 times and loved it with each. Hell, I came to appreciate it even more after playing Eternal Night. As I said in my new beginning review, Skylanders may have introduced me to Spyro, but I've come to heavily dislike the franchise for what it did to this classic character. Dawn of the Dragon was the perfect conclusion to not just the Legends trilogy, but to the Spyro franchise as a whole. A game that took the already greatly expanded mechanics of Eternal Night and perfected them. A true blend of classic Collectathon Spyro and the combat-focused Legends series, complemented by a story far greater than most games have a right to tell, with a powerful ending. All of it told from the perspective of one silly, yet legendary, Purple Dragon. This game easily makes the best first impression of the entire trilogy. While I may be playing the Wii version since I don't own good consoles, this game still looks much better than most others on the system. On an HD console, it is truly gorgeous. Even modern games struggle to look this good most of the time, and they sacrifice gameplay or stability. Dawn does neither, and it runs very smoothly, only really slowing down in massive enemy encounters or when you're using your breath attacks a lot. And speaking of that combat, the entire system has been reworked. Charging is completely gone, replaced by a heavy attack, but all the old moves are still intact in some regard. In addition, there's a lot of new combos, a much improved dodge in the form of a high velocity roll, that's a godsend by the way, and a grab for more crowd control and AoE attacks. I cannot put into words how good it feels to grab an enemy and flail them around, smacking everything else nearby and turning every enemy into your little plaything. All the breaths are unlocked from the start. You have to level each to get their secondaries, but the first tier requires very few spirit crystals to unlock. Expanding on the double jump, you can now fly. Yes, fly. No more gliding everywhere. Spyro and Cinder can fly. It is limited, this is still a platforming game, but it is so freeing to take wing and soar over the terrain, especially in the open levels. And you're going to be exploring a lot more in this game. There are collectibles and optional objectives littered throughout every level. Some are large spirit crystal clusters, others are health and magic upgrades, there's tough elite enemies to fight, and there's even armor pieces. The elite enemies require a hefty amount of skill to take down, or you can just use the Fury and get them over with if you're bad at games. Then there's the various armors, enhancing your abilities and even unlocking new powers with a matching set. And then there's the formerly giant and questionably sexy dragoness in the room, Cinder. You could play as Cinder and she is wonderful. She is Poison, Shadow, Fear, and Wind. All of these are just as fun as Spyro's abilities, and if you know what you're doing, you can obliterate the balance of the game. You still have to earn that power though. Cinder's breaths are far stronger once they're fully upgraded, but early on, Spyro will be putting out much more damage with Cinder playing a more supporting role. With the graphics update, every character's gotten a new design and all of them are fantastic. They still look like the same characters, but all the awkward proportions have been evened out and I love the stylized realism of this game. Ignitus kinda looks like he's smiling in every scene though. Spyro's nose is still rather large, but his snout matches his head. Cinder's head is slimmer and actually fits her body. I also really like her cuffs and collar. While her color is more indigo than black now, I don't really mind that. Maybe Spyro's purple powers rubbed off on her during her imprisonment. And this might just be me, but so many of Cinder's animations and poses are adorable. I just want to give her a nice pat on the head and tell her everything will be alright. She deserves some respite after all the chaos of the previous games. I would kill for her! She's perfect, and I would kill every and anyone for her! Anyways, I better stop talking about Cinder or we'll never get to the actual game. So, let's get to playing this video game. As mentioned before, Dawn's combat system is entirely reworked, taking heavy inspiration from God of War, and damn it is addicting to see those combos go up. Just like the previous two games, you can knock up enemies for air combos and knockbacks, but in most encounters there are weaker enemies that you can grab and flail around. These lead to lots of AoE damage, and most enemies get stunned when they're whacked like this. The addition of a heavy attack allows for much more varied combos and turns your stuns into devastating amounts of damage. Speaking of stuns, let's talk about Cinder again. While Poison X, similarly to Fire Breath, being a damage over time ability, Shadow knocks up enemies in the air and freezes them, Fear is a powerful stun, and while Wind's primary is kind of pathetic, its secondary turns Cinder into a combo machine that can max out the counter without giving enemies a chance to hit back. This is only against weaker enemies though. The stronger enemies are far more resistant to Cinder's stuns, keeping Spyro's more damage-focused attacks just as relevant. He's still got the same elements: fire, ice, earth, and electricity. Fire's the same as the Eternal Knight, a stream and a comet dash. Ice shoots out icicles or is a high-damage tornado of doom. Earth is a wrecking ball or a blast like a new beginning, while electricity is a stun with low damage or a pulsing orb. Both of them also have different magic and health values. Spyro's maximum health is higher than Cinder's, but the Dragoness's magic meter is larger than Spyro's, which is a little broken once you get her some upgrades. With the various level set pieces and puzzles, every breath gets its time to shine, even outside of combat, and in elite enemies encounters, you need to use a specific kind of breath to knock off their masks. As for platforming, a large chunk of it revolves around the new climbing mechanics, but gliding is still very much present, even with the addition of flight. There's wind in various levels that limit your flying, but these only exist in small, contained segments, so there's still plenty of time to fly around and explore to your heart's content. Some areas also have short wall running segments. These are slightly awkward to learn, but once you understand the controls, they're pretty fun and smooth. Several collectibles are behind these little challenges, much like Eternal Knight, although now they're far more numerous. Some are out in the open, others require quite a bit of exploration to find, and it's entirely possible to complete this game without going out of your way to get any of the upgrades. Instead of feathers or relics, you can break giant conical crystals to upgrade health and magic, although now you need multiple of each for any kind of boost. With how plentiful the gems are, this is never an issue, and without looking for them I had already gotten most of the upgrades by the end. There's also the giant blue spirit crystals. Each gives a decent chunk for the breath upgrades for both dragons, although it's pretty easy to max out your breaths without ever touching them. The final collectible comes in the form of armor, locked in chests. These tend to be more hidden or require some kind of puzzle to find, while others are simply given to you for completing level objectives. But man, are they worth it in every case. Each piece has its own effect, and completing a set unlocks a new ability, with the strongest being unlimited access to Fury Breath, so long as you have magic to spare. This set in particular is only completed near the end of the game, and it feels great to blast away difficult enemies once you have it. Speaking of difficult encounters, throughout the game there are the special elite enemies, often requiring a slight bit of backtracking or exploration to find. Each of them is a normal enemy with massively increased health and damage. They start out wearing a mask that can only be damaged with a certain breath, but thankfully there's always a respawning magic crystal nearby so you can fight them without resource worry. These sometimes have a collectible behind them, but most of the time they net a hefty chunk of spirit for whichever dragon lands the finishing blow. Another neat addition is that you can choose which level to play after beating the game, so you no longer have to do an entire New Game Plus if you want to collect everything. Each of the levels has been shortened as well compared to the previous entries. Nana is about the same length as Eternal Knight, but with more levels and less time in each, it's rare I got bored of them by the end. The length also isn't artificially inflated with giant enemy gauntlets, for the most part, so more platforming and puzzles are employed. Also, some encounters are entirely optional thanks to the more open level design. Ignoring collectibles, each level can be completed pretty quickly, but exploring is heavily incentivized and most of them are somewhat non-linear. To help with this, the game does not have autosaves like the previous two. Instead, there are purple runes where you can manually save, and save to whichever file. You can truly play this game the way you want thanks to the sheer breadth of options you get. Occasionally, you're presented with QuickTime events. Now, everyone has their mind made up about these, but the way they're implemented here is better than most games. They're used pretty sparingly. The most you'll see is during a boss fight, where they're used during the transition phases. As such, I don't mind them here, and during the final boss they are especially cinematic. The only major issues I have with the gameplay come in the form of partner AI. As this is a 2008 game, the AI isn't very good. The other dragon will try to fight and follow you, but often they are ineffective and sometimes take a second to catch up. Worst case, they get stuck on something for a little bit. This isn't a problem most of the time, however there are instances where both dragons have to participate and one getting stuck leads to quite a bit of annoyance. These scenarios are thankfully few and far between, and most of the time you just need them to open a chest or pull a lever, maybe knock down a tree. If you play alone, Dawn of the Dragon is already my favorite of the trilogy. As much as I like the combat in Eternal Knight, it was still a new beginning system, but actually put to good use. However, as is the case with every entry in this trilogy, the gameplay is half of the cake. It's time we tackle the other half, and what many remember this game for. Its story. 3 years have passed since the Eternal Night. The servants of the Dark Master, Malefor, have been at war with the dragons ever since. Within the remnants of the Well of Souls, Spyro, Cinder, and Sparks lay dormant, their bodies suspended, yet still aging within their crystal. Once freed by Malefor's minions, the Grublins, they are bound together and taken to be sacrificed. After waking up from their nap, it's time to battle. Whereas the previous entries give you a slow, low-stakes intro, Dawn immediately thrusts you into combat with only a simple message to tell you how to fight. And fight Spyro and Cinder must. Waves of Grublins descend upon the pair. The events of Eternal Night have left them deprived of magic for now, but with all the new combat abilities, these little pests don't stand a chance. Already Dawn of the Dragon far surpasses the intros of its predecessors. As the final entry of this trilogy, it doesn't need any meticulous setup, and it's set on impressing you right out the gate. Once the Grublins are dealt with, a massive golem to emerge to crush the dragons, and they have to break the anchor keeping them down. Still bound, they fight as much as they can, only to realize they stand no chance.
This chain is slowing us down. We can't fight it. We'll have to move in unison. Follow my lead.
Why should you lead?
Uh-oh. Take cover!
Okay, good idea. You lead.
Now that the golem's dealt with, we have a moment to breathe. It's time we address everyone's favorite dragon girl, Cinder. Her voice actor's changed yet again, this time to Christina Ricci, who unfortunately doesn't give the greatest performance. For the most part, she's fine, but later her poor performance would be quite a detriment. And that's not really her fault. The director wasn't very experienced. As such, Cinder ranges from good to almost laughable. As for her character, Cinder still got her wits and attitude, but as the story progresses, she opens up quite a bit to Spyro, who does the same to her. It is wonderful having Cinder along for the entire ride this time around. Tether mechanics be damned. Meanwhile, our favorite purple dragon hasn't changed much outside of appearance. He's a bit more mature here and takes to an almost leaderly role when the big dragons aren't around. As previously said, he opens up to Cinder as she gets closer to him, and he's got some of his attitude from classic Spyro back. Although primarily in the character swapping dialogue. Sparks also got a new voice actor, as he himself points out.
You know, little stiff. Voice keeps changing.
This time Wayne Brady, who brings out my favorite version of Sparks from this trilogy. He's more sarcastic and laid back here, and once again, less annoying than he used to be. And he even has a few heartfelt moments. His banter with Cinder throughout the game produces some of my favorite moments from both. With our reintroductions out of the way, Spyro and Cinder meet up with Hunter, who was teased in the previous game. He's completely different to how he was in the classic series, now a highly skilled ranger-esque character tasked by Ignites to find Spyro. He guides the dragons through the catacombs until we encounter the first green crystal in the game, which gives our dragon duo their powers back. It is here that Cinder learns about her poison, shadow, fear, and wind abilities, powers most unnatural and granted to her through Malefor's influence. With their magic back, they continue through the catacombs, getting ambushed by the Golem and the Grublins. Despite their best attempts, everyone escapes unharmed. This first level is a nice intro, much more replayable than the first levels of the previous games, while also introducing everything this game has to offer pretty well: elite enemies, optional treasures, and some minor puzzle elements. That side, Hunter leads the dragons through the shortest level in the game, pursued by Grublins the entire time. There's not too much to say about the Twilight Grove. Emerging from the cave is a particularly nice moment, and getting to explore freely is great. With how short this segment is, I don't think I have anything else to offer. This is indicative of how Dawn of the Dragon stretched its levels out. Rather than constant enemy gauntlets, it encourages you to explore, while the actual levels are somewhat short. Once they shake the Grublins, they make a camp and... Oh, she's so adorable! Sorry, I might have a problem. It is here Hunter reveals what's been going on.
The Dark Master. He's returned, hasn't he?
I am afraid so. Just shortly after your disappearance, he struck quickly, fueled by hatred and malice, reclaiming the throne at the temple, which, through some dark magic, he now suspends above the land, a symbol of his dominance. We've been at war ever since.
With that explanation over, they get knocked out and awake the next morning, chained once again, this time by copy-paste recolor cheetah people. As it turns out, they don't like dragons very much, thanks to Malefor and Cinder, but there's no time to be racist. The village is under attack. Spyro, Cinder, and Sparks convince the cheetahs to be let free, and they repel the assault. Once all the Grublins are defeated, it turns out one of the cheetahs, Meadow, is missing. So like any good protagonist, Spyro offers to help in exchange for Hunter's freedom, as he's still bound and they kinda need him.
You are free to act as you see fit, but Hunter stays here. However, if you remain true to your word and come back with Meadow, I may reconsider. Don't bother returning before then, as you'll likely succeed only in attracting more grublins to our village.
Taking flight in Avalar, soaring out of the village accompanied by the incredible New Beginning theme is a magical moment that no game can replicate. Avalar is by far the most open level in this game, with many collectibles to find and places to explore. Every time I come here, I simply soar around, taking in the sights, breaking the occasional crystal, and listening to that wonderful melody. For how intense the story gets and how much action this game holds, there's just as much room for serenity. And no game has a place quite like Avalar. Once you get tired of that beauty though, Spyro and Cinder find Meadow, being used as bait for a grublin trap. So like any good heroes, they walk right in to beat up baddies until they free Meadow. This cat broke his leg, so now we need to fetch a raft, but in order to get it, we must find a supply cave. But the key to this supply cave is being held by some old hermit. Inside of the cave, that beautiful New Beginning song is replaced by... another incredible song! Can this game stop being amazing? I seriously consider this trilogy's OST among gaming's greatest, and Dawn of the Dragon is swimming with its highlights. Enough gushing about music, that's for later. As it turns out, the Hermit's not far. He's beyond some wall running tutorials and... oh great! Monkeys! I didn't miss you! After beating up these skeletal apes, the Hermit emerges to guilt Cinder and explain that no one can escape Malifaux, not even the spirits of those dastardly monkeys we just beat up. Spyro comforts Cinder and Smark snatches the key to the supply case, proving once again he's not just glowstick Jar Jar Binks. Go find the supply cave, carry heavy weights, and slowly drag the raft all the way across the valley with only minor enemy interruptions. With the raft secured, one odd transition later, and Meadow's home. The chief agrees to let Hunter go, and we're off to the Dragon City, Warfang. As a whole, Avalar is a level I could gush about forever. It truly captures that majestic feeling of flying over the world and what it must be like to be a dragon. The open level design is incredible. It makes me yearn for a more open world Spyro game in the style of Dawn of the Dragon. We'll see how The Realm Beyond holds up. There's no other experience like it, but unfortunately, we have to leave it behind and go through the worst level in the game. When we reach Warfang, it is in the middle of a siege. Malifaux's forces are marching on the gate, intent on turning the city to rubble. As our heroes rush to the ramparts, they are separated from Hunter, apparently forgetting they have wings, and rush to save some moles from a burning building. This first segment is pretty irritating. The moles in this building never shut up while you're fighting, and there's a lot of fighting in this level. In between each little set piece, whether it be filling a pool, grabbing buckets, or flying to grab the buckets, there's a small enemy wave waiting for you. Thankfully, you can fly away and ignore them if you want, and no, you can't put out the fire with ice or wind. The game even tells you that if you try. There's still some items to grab though, but once those moles are freed, the real slog begins. Spyro and Cinder have to play cannon defense, including beating up waves of enemies, repairing the cannon, reloading the cannon, breaking towers with way too much health, escorting this cowardly mole who shouts at you if you go more than a foot away, breaking more towers, fighting more enemies, and finally getting to reload a final time to destroy the battering ram. But it's still not over. A large monster breaks through the gate and it's up to the dragons to stop it. Defeat it, the gate's seal breaks for some reason. Fight enemies, scramble to close the door. Light braziers, close the door again. Ooh, open this box. Oops, the gate opened. My controller won't respond! Oh great, the game froze. Time to do the last segment all over again. Finally, the seal is finished and Malifaux's forces begin to retreat, and my arms are sore from all that shaking. Warfang is not entirely miserable. The fun combat mechanics keep the level from getting too frustrating or boring, but holy Dragon Balls, the cannon defense goes on for way too long. And for the first time in a while, I wish I never got a Wii, because the motion controls here are super annoying and they refuse to respond multiple times for me. The last bit is more of a me problem, as the Wiimote I was using is a bit old. With a different one, it worked pretty fine, but it does bring up a complaint I have. Every time Spyro and Cinder have to do anything strenuous, like opening a box, spinning a wheel, or closing that damn gate, you have to woggle your controls like crazy. As someone who doesn't mind waggle controls now and then, requiring it to open boxes, pull levers, and close the gate is a bit much. Make me hammer Z or something. It's one of the few times where I would have actively preferred a button over the Wii's jank. Also, future Joe House here. I recently played this level on the PlayStation 3, and my god, it was so much better not having to waggle constantly. As it turns out, Malefor's forces aren't fully retreating. They're calling in backup. The golem from the first level returns and burrows into the city. And just in time, the Dragon Guardians stop it. Despite being told to hide, Spyro and Cinder rush to attack the golem. Zero and Voltaire attempt to aid them, only for the golem to separate them again. Pterodor and Ignitus assist later, but they're also no help. Thanks for nothing. With the Guardians out of commission, Spyro and Cinder must fight it themselves. The Golem boss fight isn't anything too difficult thanks to the respawning health and magic crystals, but it is very cinematic. Gameplay-wise though, it's fairly repetitive. Wait for the Golem to slam, attack hands until it's stunned, then break some crystals. The last phase has 2 quick time events, and with that, the Golem crumbles. This boss fight is decent, nothing special, Eternal Nights are better, but the various angles and short cutscenes make you feel like you're overcoming something great. It also feels real nice to smash this thing after it almost smashed you at the beginning. Once the golem collapses, the Guardians reunite with Spyro and Cinder to have a small catch-up conversation. Ignitus is still fairly hopeful, much more so than Spyro and Cinder, who are still pretty peeved about being stuck together. That night, before anyone can celebrate their victory too hard, Malefor makes his first appearance.
Citizens of Warfang,
And here's the review.
you shall be the first to witness the resurrection of the Destroyer.
If I told you that Arkham was voicing Malefor, would you believe me? Because I don't even believe myself right now. His voice is distorted beneath several layers of effects, defeating the entire purpose of getting someone as famous as the voice of Luke Skywalker and the Joker to voice your villain. And all those effects make Malefor really hard to understand. I initially played this game without subtitles and I only understood half of what he said. Voice complaints aside, Malefor's goal is surprisingly clear. He wants to destroy the world using the Destroyer, how fitting, so we have to stop him. In order to catch up, we must go through the ruins of Old Warfang, but the doors are closed. So, Spyro and Cinder must go through a small hole and open them from the inside. The ruins of Warfang is another open level, not what you would typically expect from an underground area. Once again, you are mostly free to explore and do objectives in whatever order you want. The main premise of this level is activating 4 dragon statues, which requires solving a few puzzles and fighting more monkeys. Oh goody, I didn't have enough of that in the previous 2 games. There's not a whole lot of combat, which was a nice break after the never-ending enemy gauntlets from the Dragon City. I like the puzzles here. They're not super complicated, but they make a good use of the tether mechanics and give your breath some time to shine. There's not too much to say about this one. It's pretty light on story. There's a tiny bit with Malefor though. It's kinda quick, a welcome breather, and it's a level that I look forward to on my replays. With those doors open, the Dragon Army marches through, and Ignitus has some words for concerned Spyro.
I know what you are thinking, Spyro. Have no worry, young dragon. We'll make it.
I don't understand. Malefor is about to destroy everything. But you seem so calm.
I don't imagine Malefor would expend all this effort if it did not feel threatened.
But why should he?
Throughout our history, there is only known to have been 2 purple dragons. Like Malefor, your powers go far beyond what you might imagine. He knows this. Malefor could have accomplished anything, but instead chose evil, and the world has been spiraling in chaos ever since. Your existence is nature's way of balancing itself.
But the ancestors thought Malefor was going to be different. They believed in him. And look what happened.
Malefor draws his powers from destruction. Destruction is the only way he knows, Spyro.
Why should I be any different?
Because I know you. And your heart would not allow it. Because I believe you are destined for great things. To bring about a new age. An age of peace. And I do not see what role destruction will have in that age.
The scene's a little cheesy, but the game isn't obnoxiously on the head with character parallels. While the similarities between Malefor and Spyro have been obvious since Eternal Night, it's never outright stated, something that many stories cannot claim. This is an example of a hero-villain parallel done right, and done without one of the worst dialogue cliches in media. We're not so different, you and I. Everyone emerges from the tunnel to the side of the Destroyer, still advancing.
Whoa!
Gotcha! 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 Take that! Squishy, squishy!
I'll keep it up, Sparks. I think it's working.
Never change, Cinder. The monster is still moving too fast to stop in time. Thankfully, Cinder notices a dam in the ravine just ahead, right in the destroyer's path. It's up to the young dragons to break the dam and slow the destroyer enough to attack it head on. The dam is another somewhat open level, but it's more linear than the previous. You have objectives you can do in whatever order, several collectibles as always, and some janky air combat. Several enemy encounters have these flying snakes, and since these dragons can't swim, you have to fly above the water when dealing with the flying snakes. This brings to mind the one issue I have with this game's combat, which is how awkward aerial combat is. Most attacks lock you in place while performing them, which works well on the ground, but in the air your enemies are far more mobile, and often your attacks don't land, especially the heavy attacks. Thankfully, the breath attacks are still effective, but melee combat could have used some refinement here. There's a lot of climbing in this level, because you'll be dragging around weights to activate this dam's locks. The final lock is a little annoying since you have to get 2 to the very top of the level, but there's multiple pathways to add some variety, or you can just do what I do and use the same path twice. The dam is another solid level, not quite as good as the previous, but it's still pretty fun, and some of the aerial combat can be avoided if you dislike it that much. With the final lock unlocked, the dam breaks and... Hey, did Blizzard get their inspiration for Cataclysm from this game? This looks very similar to the Cataclysm trailer. That aside, the destroyer is stalled and it's time to take it down. Hey, I know that song. It's from Eternal Night. I think now is a good time to mention that a lot of songs from Dawn of the Dragon are lifted from the previous two. However, they're spaced out enough and fit just as well here as they do in their Origin games. Hell, I think some even fit better given the more realistic art style. And there's still plenty of original tracks, which are just as good and sometimes even better than the reused ones. Once again, the Destroyer is a very open level, and yes, this level is called the Destroyer. The level has you flying around various parts of the Destroyer, breaking black crystals and fighting enemies. Of course there's still collectibles, but this is the one time you have to explore to complete the level. Most of the crystals lead into another, and they stand out pretty well, so it's not like you'll be scouring the entire level looking for one gem. You know, it kinda reminds me of something. The final segment of this level is what a New Beginning's last flying segment should have been. Spyro and Cinder dive into the Destroyer, sweeping by its heart, dodging lava and fire while breaking down the crystal heart. And guess what? You can actually die here! You could in the New Beginning, but you'd have to try. Here it's an actual challenge, and once the heart breaks, you have to fly out as lava rushes behind you, and once again, you can die here. Guess how I found that out. The Destroyer is a pretty good level. The combat is better than the previous two, the exploration sites are very unique, and the ending is a spectacle only a dragon could survive. It seems the Destroyer has been halted, and Malefor's plans are foiled, until it roars back to life with more dark magic. With no other options, Spyro and Cinder must get through the belt of fire surrounding Malefor's lair, with Ignitus to protect them. I think now is a good time to point out how Dawn escalates its stakes. With every victory achieved in this game, there's always something that undercuts it in a sense, and every instance serves to build up Malefor's reveal. The first time this happened is back in the Twilight Grove. The dragons escaped the Grublin's pursuit and learned what happened during their slumber, then got knocked out by Cheetahs. This happens again after the dragon city is defended and the Golem comes to attack. Another time once the Golem crumbles and Malefor reveals his true plan, and here it happens for a final time, and this is the only instance where the victory was somewhat hollow. This is the first real failure we've experienced in the story so far. With no other options, the dragons must cross the inferno surrounding Malefor's lair. And it's here where we finally say goodbye to Sparx.
Sparx? You can't come with me.
What? But I always go with you.
Spyro was right. You wouldn't survive in there.
You need to make sure the others reach the underground city in time. You've been there before. You can guide them.
It's important, Sparx.
But you need me.
Right now, there are others that need you more.
Cinder, you have to promise me you will look after him. We've been through a lot together.
I promise.
Be careful, Sparx.
Hey, it's me. Being careful is all I know.
For as annoying as Sparx was in the previous games, this soft send-off marks a turning point for Spyro's character and this game's tone. From here on out, there's no room for comic relief. Spyro's matured since A New Beginning, and Sparx has too. It's time to say goodbye to their childhoods. And right after that, we have yet another emotional story beat.
I should be able to offer some protection from the heat. Stay close to me.
Ignitus, let's turn back. There's got to be another way.
Spyro, Cinder, I have never done right by either of you. Allow me to do this.
What are you saying?
My path ends here, but yours lies beyond this. Draw strength from each other and follow your heart. It will never fail you. Now go. Go.
Ignitus! No!
Spyro, stop! It's too late. You can't do anything for him now.
No, he isn't gone.
Spyro, let it go.
No.
No! Spyro, don't!
You can't stop.
You're right. Only you can do that. Please, Spyro, don't do this. We have to go on. He wanted us to.
It wasn't supposed to be like this. I feel so alone.
You're not alone.
For as great as the scene could have been, for all the character weight and impact this moment should have, Cinder's poor voice acting unfortunately drags everything down. Despite that blemish, the Belt of Fire cutscene is still an incredible moment, placing Spyro at his lowest. And in this very cutscene, we see him so distraught he shifts back to Dark Spyro from Eternal Night's ending. But, as Cinder said, he's still not alone. Even without his mentor or best friend, he has Cinder and the bond they've developed. For as rushed as the romance between our two dragon heroes is, this cutscene cements the care they share for each other, and ultimately makes their relationship believable. With that over, we move into the hardest level in the game. The Birdlands features an incredible soundtrack, collectibles and enemy gauntlets, as well as tons of lava. This is another one of my favorite levels. It's more linear than the last few, but there's still plenty to find off the beaten path. And for conquering those challenges, you can complete the Fury Armor sets for Spyro and Cinder, finally unlocking their Fury Breaths at all times. But even amongst the challenge and desolate landscape, there's still room for reflection.
He's up there somewhere, isn't he? I don't know if I can go through with this.
I don't know either. But we have to. You said it yourself. If we don't, then everything we fought for, everything we've lost, it's all been for nothing.
All right then, I'll go. But only because I want to get rid of this chain.
Come on. The air is too thick down here with all this ash. There's probably an updraft near the volcano.
Another little scene to show the bond between Spyro and Cinder, a short break from the constant combat, and once again adding more believability to their romance, with Cinder willingly expressing vulnerability and doubts for the first time. After some more flying, and the hardest enemy encounters in the game, that aforementioned updraft is located and we're off to Malefor's lair.
It's beautiful up here.
The tower. It must lead to Malefor's lair.
Thanks for ruining the moment.
From one incredible level to another, the Floating Islands is the most open level since Avalar, and it is just as magical, but in a more somber, eerie way. The world lies below you, everything Spyro and Cinder have to lose, everything they fought for laid out in front of them. The soundtrack is once again incredible. It's a simple, peaceful melody, but something's off. It's almost too tranquil for what should be the villain's lair. Here at the end, the Spyro series has come full circle. Instead of a linear level full of enemies, the level takes on an almost classic approach. You still have an objective, that of lighting torches to open the Dragon Temple, but you're just as free to explore and collect gems, both upgrades and spirit clusters. Most enemy encounters can be skipped, yet the majority of them guard this level's collectibles. Another similarity to the classic Spyro is the more fantastical element. While Legends was more grounded, both figuratively and literally, these islands wouldn't be out of place in Spyro 1. A common misconception is that this Dragon Temple is the same one from A New Beginning, with the Birdlands being what remains of Spyro's home. As tragic as that would be, this and the previous level were designed to be a piece of Warfang, desecrated by Malefor and turned into his lair purely out of spite. But once the torches are lit, we're back to enemy gauntlets. This final encounter isn't too difficult. Smash little towers, otherwise Spyro and Cinder get rooted by their change, and fight enemies. With that short fight over, you get one last opportunity to explore before it's all over. It's off to face Malifor once and for all.
Are you ready for this?
I'm scared.
Just stay close to me.
At long last, my guests have arrived. Please, come in. Such determination to get here. It seems we share other qualities besides having our color.
No, I'm nothing like you.
Do you think so? We'll get to that.
Don't listen to him, Spyro. Don't listen to anything he says.
You're so weary. Allow me to make you more comfortable. There, that's better, isn't it? The least I can do for you, Cinder. After all, you've done so much for me.
You used her.
I used her, she used you. What does it matter, really?
What does he mean?
What? He doesn't know. Go on, tell him. What's in the dark?
Tell me what?
How she lured you to dwell as souls. How she tricked you into fleeing.
You're lying.
I find it peculiar how you've chosen to remember things. I can assure you, it was you who freed me, Spyro, and you who brought me back. And we have Cinder to thank for that.
Cinder? Is it true?
No. I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Oh, I think you do. But perhaps you do.
Cinder! Cinder! No!
I should have warned you. You are alone here, young dragon. You have always been alone. Still, here you are, trying so desperately to save little miserable world, refusing to accept the true role of the Purple Dragon. I should have been told I was the first Archon, but I assure you, there have been many. It had been meant to be of our predecessors, to resurrect the destroyer recalls of the deep, to bring about the great cleansing. This is the true mission of our kind. Your destiny is to destroy the world.
No! I don't believe that!
Of course you don't. But you fulfilled your destiny nonetheless. In my time, I was stopped, prevented from completing my quest. But you have carried the flame, lit your own limit, and soon the world will be destroyed along with it.
No. Because you've left me nothing to fight for.
There's always something.
So be it. You've made your choices. You suffer the same fate. Prepare to die.
Malifor's reveal is a little underwhelming, yet his deviousness is on full display. From his mental mind games with Cinder to the reveal of the true nature of the Purple Dragon, it's likely this is a retcon, a change to Spyro's lineage made to keep in line with the theme of Spyro defying his destiny that started back in Eternal Night. As for how Malifor found out, that's completely unexplained. Maybe checked out a sketchy library book. Compared to how he's described in the previous games, Malifor seems a bit weak, although that could be intentional. Maybe he's just another Purple Dragon, just incredibly overzealous. All that aside, Malifor's fight is the best in this trilogy. A three-phase encounter starting in the sky and ending in the world's core. The first phase is the easiest. You do battle with Malifor in the blackened skies above the volcano. He primarily uses a purple form of fire breath, but also shoots meteors at long range and does some melee attacks. This phase ends with a few quick-time events and another cutscene. Phase 2 is much harder. Malifor uses more breath attacks, primarily ice. Most of his abilities aim to keep you at a distance or repel you. He's still got his melees and fire breath, but they are much harder to dodge with the smaller arena. Thankfully, just like a new beginning, each phase is a checkpoint, so you don't have to do everything again when you die. Every hit he lands on you is devastating, and you have to learn his attack animations if you hope to beat him. Once again, this phase ends with more quick-time events and another cutscene. The final phase, aside from having some amazing music, is either the hardest or the easiest phase, depending entirely on how filled the Fury bar is. Here, Malefor has shielded himself. Every time you strike it, the Fury meter increases by a huge chunk, and he can only be damaged by your Fury breath. His attacks do more damage and come out far more rapidly, but once you break through that shield, it's time for more quick-time events and another cutscene. With one final combined effort, Malefor goes down. This fight as a whole is pretty difficult, one of the hardest in the trilogy, unless you use the Fury Breath armor, which obliterates Malefor's health bar like any other fight. The soundtrack for each phase is incredible, fitting the desperate struggle against the end of the world and ultimately the failure to prevent it. But with that fight over, it's time for a Deus Ex Machina ending.
Cannot defeat I Eternal!
Just hang on!
Spyro, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Don't be. It's over now.
So this is it?
Spyro, when a dragon dies, he does not truly leave this world. His spirit lives on, binding itself with nature, offering hope for the future.
I know what I need to do. Just get out of here, Cinder.
Spyro, no. You don't have to do anything. Let's just go.
Where, Cinder? There'll be nothing left. The world is breaking apart. But I think I can stop it. I think I'm meant to.
Then I'm with you. I love you.
With Cinder's confession, both dragons sacrificed themselves, offering hope for the future and remaking the world with one final use of Time Fury. Dawn of the Dragon is a truly magical experience, a game that perfected the action combat of the Legend series, yet brought back enough classic elements to refine it. The story it tells and concludes is one far greater than a game about a silly purple dragon has any right to. Spyro is not just a goofy dragon series anymore. This story, this trilogy, told a tale of sacrifice, loss, romance, and redemption. This ending, the ending for the franchise, was the best send-off this series could have, turning this beloved dragon into the centerpiece for one of gaming's finest stories. Of course, I have to give mentions to the incredible music of this game. I may have talked about a few tracks before, but there are a few more I want to give props to. Returning favorites are Black Powers from Eternal Night, The Well of Souls, now used for the Destroyer, Tall Plains from A New Beginning, and A New Beginning's main theme. As for the new tracks, the main theme Valley of Avalar, The dam. The Birdlands. Floating Isles. All three Malifor phases. And last but certainly not least, Guide You Home, the best ending credit song I have ever heard in a video game. A nice little song about helping a lost lover find their way.
This is the darkest night. Stars have all faded away. Quiet upon.
Dawn of the Dragon is a truly magical game, start to end, telling an incredible story while bringing out the best of the Legend of Spyro gameplay. The soundtrack is one of the best I have ever heard of the game, with several tracks I listen to regularly. As I said before, this is one of the few games to elicit tears. This goofy series and this purple dragon got me emotional, and that sounds ridiculous. Dawn of the Dragon is not just an amazing game, it is the greatest Spyro game. For all its flaws, none of them were ever enough to drag down the majesty, beauty, and magic within it. I love Dawn of the Dragon, and this game makes me proud to be a Spyro fan. I will say it again, Dawn of the Dragon is the best Spyro game. As charming as classic Spyro is, this is the dragon that comes to mind when I hear his name. This is the game that cemented Cinder as an icon of the entire franchise, and I wouldn't have it any other way, despite everything that came after. Namely Skylanders, Dawn of the Dragon was the perfect send-off for the series, and it should be recognized as such. No matter what happens to Spyro as a franchise, this will be an ending that is remembered. The victorious, beautiful, satisfying conclusion to a story about a silly purple dragon who saved his world. Except, Dawn of the Dragon is no longer Spyro's end. The day I uploaded my impressions of A New Beginning was the same day I almost died of excitement. A realm beyond awaits. Spyro is back! Let's keep it that way. Here's to a new age of Spyro. Whether Realm Beyond follows in Don's footsteps, or takes the series back to its roots, it is a return worth celebrating.
Be welcome, friend. I have long been expecting you. A new age is beginning. With each new age, a worthy dragon is chosen to chronicle the many triumphs and failures of that age. This has been my duty for many millennia. And now, ignite us.
I pass this honor to you.
And what of Spyro? Is he?
That is the question, isn't it? You see, each time a dragon dies, a new page is written in this book. I've done my best, but I can't seem to find any trace of Spyro.
Well, young dragon, where might you be?